following is a non-verdict-based research versus show. The stats of the individual
Holy shit. Hello! Hello, everybody. Welcome to Versus Universe commentaries. Today I'm gonna be commenting on my longest one yet, the longest one yet, Minoth versus Luxu. I've not seen this in like over a month. It's been like a month since I finalized production on this one. And Jesus, it's been a while. I love both these guys. Oh my god, it's Klaus. So I want to talk a little bit about, I've seen a lot of people be like, why specifically this one? And, partially it's because I think it's a good, starting point for universes I want to bring back into Versus Universe. I say universe twice, but that's true. And, having them both as, like, the gateway into characters I more so want to talk about in the future. Not to, like, diss the amount of work I spent on, what's the term? I guess researching these characters. But this is these both are absolutely, like, series that I want to use again in the future. Possibly against each other again. Who knows? But we're not gonna get We're not gonna get that opportunity for a while. So I wanted to really go all out, and you can see that in this example right here. You see those blade elements are literally custom made by me. Like, those do not exist outside of this video. They're based on the ones in game, but the ones in game are like super fucking small because they're that size on purpose for UI reasons, for odd reasons, I guess. And I wanted to up-res them, and up-resing didn't seem to work for some reason, so I was just like, fuck it, just do it myself. And I don't think you would know about that unless you follow me on Twitter. And we're finally getting to the character. That's part of the fun of Versus Universe rundowns, is they're a lot more oriented on the story of the characters and their worlds. So I can, like, really take my time exploring the world the character inhabits before getting to the character themselves. Which I think I did with both of them. Yeah, I think that's true. But the setup for Luxu is a little bit different because the world we know him in is not the world he originates from. So, like, we spend a lot of time with Xigbar, and we don't spend a lot of time with Luxu. Unless you really like Kingdom Hearts Key, but, like, that's another thing. But another thing, I'm meaning to circle back to it, but the other main reason I chose this one is because there are just too many similarities between the two of them that I thought were very interesting and would never be talked about otherwise in any capacity in Versus. Like, I think I'm the only person who would do this matchup in a Versus series. Because I'm the only person I know who's into both of these series. Well, now I know one other person, but he's playing through Xenoblade 1 right now. Shoutouts to Gumball Viking. Because I made him. I made him play through Xenoblade 1. I literally gifted him Xenoblade 1. Okay, so I'm talking about Flesh Eaters right now. And that's another thing, is, like, they're both fucking, how do you even say it? Like, they're both different forms of the characters that they once were. Like how Xigbar is a nobody and Minoth is a flesh eater. Like, I think that's a neat comparison as well. Another thing I noticed too is they both served under two different people. One of them completely on the there's a line, Minoth is a girl boss, that I loved myself so much in writing that. It's so much fun. I love just getting to have fun, you know, just goofing around. Hi Mithra. What are you doing on screen?
Specifically bonding with Adam instead of the other two drivers, Hugo and...
Oh yeah, crying about Laura. Whatever. And part of the fun too, getting to make this series, is getting to use in editing the series music. And I feel like for this game specifically, I really had to overcompensate because there were so many tracks I wanted to fit in some way or another. Specifically, like, I think just More Ordain, the More Ordain theme, I really wanted to fit in somewhere. So I just kind of played it at the very beginning, like, yeah, I did it, whatever.
This is what led to their Scorpion attack. While fighting with a driver, Minoth has varying arts depending
And ending it with Drifting Soul, I think, was always a plan as well. For those of you who don't know, for one, Xenoblade 2 probably has one of the best OST. Community level 4. Oh, I love that joke too.
Despite being at Aegis, they came pretty close to beating Malice until he started cheating by using giant mechs.
That's not fair. I'm just remembering the video like, yeah, it's funny. That's funny, it's a good joke. Man, Torna is just such a great prequel. And I don't mean to be a downer, but like, working on Darth Vader vs. Obito right now, man, it's such a better prequel than the Star Wars ones. Oh, that's mean, but it's true. And counterattacks playing. Just, I love this game so much, man. Both the base game and Torna. It's so good. If you haven't played it, please play it already. Even though I spoil it in the video, but like, even if I spoil something, I'd still want you to experience it, because just me saying the thing happens does not do the thing justice. Part of the fun is the execution. And excuse me, I'm gonna just sneeze very childishly. Iona. This is gonna devolve me into me doing fucking, you know, fucking evolve into me doing impressions of Xenoblade characters. I think this is like, maybe these are some of my best analyses I've ever written. I feel like they're so like tight and well knit, despite being like both around 10 minutes long. Minoth is a little bit shorter than Luxu's, just because there's a lot less to go through. But yeah, there's just I'm really happy with how this turned out. I'm really happy with how this episode turned out as well. And when we get to the fight, you know, we'll get to it. But just man, I really love and and ending with Drifting Soul as well. And that's Minoth's analysis. So another thing which by the way, thank God, I don't remember the name of the top of my head, but there's this dude who uploads all of the Xenoblade 2 and Torna cutscenes completely subtitleless, and they are fantastic for video making. And they're organized in a nice little playlist, and you can just download them when you see them. Fantastic. Shout out to that dude. So now we're in Kingdom Hearts land, and having to explain some of the more convoluted parts of the lore in this episode was certainly not a great spot. But it's fun nevertheless, because it's all to service the character, and that's what, you know, these analyses are all about. They're about the characters. And Luxu was on screen far earlier than Minoth is in his, but like it's not the Luxu you know. And yeah, I really trying to go all out with this one. I wanted to I just really wanted to explore every single thing about Luxu that we know of at the moment because, you know, Luciu's probably going to be a key player in Kingdom Hearts going forward, so we don't know everything about him. So you could say that maybe I should have waited, but the Luxu we've known, which is Zigbar, has been around for like 13 years. So like, yeah, it's literally that. We know Zigbar.
And although he says he gave it to one of the dandelions who were the survivors of the Keyblade War, it's pretty clear that he's
And man, shoutouts to Yoko Shimura. Which, by the way, another weird connection they both have is the people who make Kingdom Hearts for some reason both had a hand in doing stuff for Xenoblade. Yoko Shimura was responsible for, I think, the title openings on both games, as well as some other soundtrack stuff. And Tetsuya Nomura, who created Kingdom Hearts, designed the villain group of the base game Torna, which is different from Torna the Titan. Oh yeah, just the anecdote of like, yeah. By the way, this guy uses like guns, like straight up.
Despite these guns being magic, he still has a need to
Like they're called arrow guns, but I guess they're more evocative of crossbows. But like, it's still called a gun. Like,
you're fighting. The real one in all of his story fights has to reload his guns. He can shoot
oh yeah, I thought that would be I was like trying to preemptively counter argue people because I know a lot of the people who are like KH2 and KH3 data fight diehards are like, wait a minute, he doesn't reload in the data fights. And that's certainly true, but you have to remember, like, that's like not the real Sigbar, which isn't the real Luxu. That's just like that's the data version of him. And well, we can certainly like take attacks from the data fights because they're based on the actual fights that you play in the story. The story fights come first in that sense. Oh yeah, I for some reason I just like calling characters boyfriends. Like if I ever use Killua in a versus universe, you know for a fact I'm calling him and Gon boyfriends, like no question.
At this point in the series, Luxu is lying to basically everyone about his
Getting to explore this character too is interesting because, you know, a lot like Minoth, he's not a character not a whole lot of people talk about, even outside of a versus sense. I've heard like whispers of discussion about Sigbar, because like really he's kind of I guess he's kind of one note before the reveal that he is Luxu. Because if you didn't know, that was like a reveal. Like it was like an MCU reveal, the end of KH3. Like, oh yeah, by the way, Zigbar's Luxu, and like all of us lost our fucking minds. Like, what the fuck does this mean? What does this mean, Nora? Why is he Luxu? We know who Luxu is, so what the fuck?
his personality and goals, but Break didn't mind. He knew deep down that Xehanort was still there, lying dormant. That curious mind now put to work as a researching assistant to Ansem the Wise. Then,
oh man, I could go on a tangent about Ansem the Wise for fucking ages. I better not, but like I could. And also, I talked about it a little bit, but getting to use Kingdom Hearts music is also a lot of fun. Because this voice you're hearing right now is the KH3 Remind Data Fight version of the 13th Struggle, which is for Zigbar's fight, which is great. It's amazing. I love it so much. I based a lot of the track on it, and whew.
They take the original person's heart with them. So yeah, this technically means nobody should be called Heartless, and Heartless should be called.
No, it's the anecdote everybody makes about Heartless and Nobodies. I had to say it just for clarity's sake, but like everybody makes that anecdote. It's crazy.
Nobody of Xehanort. Don't ask about the name, I swear, it's just gonna confuse you more.
I love adding in the zoom-ins to accent comedy. I think that's a lot of fun.
You got Zigbar. Zigbar's all the abilities of his human counterpart, but they seem to be amplified with what's known as the power of nothingness. No,
I am now realizing that I never got into why he has the scar and eye patch, because it is explained. No, wait, no, did I? I think I did. Uncle Ziggy! I love giving the characters nicknames as well. I think that's a lot of fun. And I've seen that a lot too. Thinking about it, is like I've seen people like offer to help write versus universe stuff, and I always decline. Not because I doubt their ability as writers, just because there's so much of just my personality in these rundowns. Like I could not, I can't ask another person to write these because it's all me. like come on. I don't expect you to write for me. Like, I am experimenting with handing off editing this upcoming episode, because my friend Sam Mellows is editing Obito's analysis, so that's gonna be fun. But like these, man, that reminds me just how much of a pain in the ass editing was. I think this one was just a pain in the ass because everything was super fucking long and it took forever. Like I talked about the person who uploaded the Xenoblade stuff, and that certainly helped. But for for these ones, this sucked. Oh, there's another joke I really like. A boy, a dog, another boy, but this one's gay, and Kyrie. Trying to deal with that as trailer-like as possible.
But is this the end for our eye patch wearing underling? No, the answer is no. See, when you defeat a person's heartless and they're nobody, they come back as they're somebody. And Luxu still.
I think specifically for games and stuff, it's a hard. It's a little bit hard to find a mix of balance and balance between gameplay and cutscenes, because oh yeah, I just remembered also. For some reason, the video I got for the KH3 secret ending was corrupted somehow, and I just kind of kept it in. I'm like, I probably would have changed that, but like, here's a Mickey Mouse stopping time, by the way. You didn't catch that. Mickey did that.
And can be used to release a person's heart. That's heart with a capital H. It is not an organ, but essentially is a manifestation.
And only in Kingdom Hearts would I have to explain what a heart means. This is probably one of the best representations of what hearts are in the series, though, this scene right here in KH1.
But I mean, it's kind of hard to get to the point where you take a person's heart out. They basically...
And, cutscene for those who know. For those who know, it's like the Mr. Incredible meme. Those who don't know, those who know.
May your heart be your guiding key.
Oh, I'm trying to keep these end stingers like very short and simple, but it's a little bit hard. Yes, because I want to like put in like monologues that the characters have. Whatever, it's fine. It's great! Here we are in the fight. This is my first foray into trying to add a little bit of a story to the fight, I think. Not really. Trying to add a little bit of like a prelude. Because I think every episode, it's just like the character... I don't know why Sunmillis did a Western voice at first.
I don't know if you know this, but around these parts, I'm royalty.
There I am, I'm Adam Origo, everybody's favorite British. This was a lot of fun to record. Oh my god, Nemesis as Luxu is just everything I want. I'm so glad that you agreed to do this, because like, hearing it now, I cannot imagine anybody else doing this.
You call that nonsense?
As if.
I call it tradition. Besides, I don't even know how I got here.
I just love writing dialogue for characters I've known my entire life, and Minoth. But like I think Sigmar's been my favorite 13 member since KH2. I don't even really know why, but I just kind of fell in love with the fight. And like nowadays I kind of fucking hate the fight, but like I really liked it back then. And like also personal anecdote, Sigmar was the one fight in Kingdom Hearts 2 on the PS2 I just could never get past. Because I didn't really know that the reflex spell existed. So he always had like a lasting impression on me because of that. And so like because of that I'm just kinda glad I get to like put him in a fight. Put him in the show I do now. And specifically, there were a couple things I wanted to do with Luxu, and specifically a couple things I wanted to do with Minoth as well. For one, and I knew the ending for Minoth had to be Scorpion, because I took him at a conclusion too, but I wanted to have Adam there in the fight as well, doing stuff, and have like them both be separated, and for Luxu to kind of kick Minoth's ass, and as soon as they're back together, Minoth starts kicking Luxu's ass. So like, the basic spreadsheet for the fight was, Luxu shows up, Minoth aggravates him, and then Luxu uses space powers to isolate Minoth and Luxu, and then Luxu dominates. And then Minoth manages to get out of the space by attacking Luxu successfully. Then Minoth dominates. Then Luxu summons Gazing Eye. And then Luxu dominates again. And then Minoth stands back up and does a little rousing speech with Adam. And that's the beginning of the finale for both of them. And this is the second episode, I think, where I've had both characters die in each of the endings. No. I think Kurapika versus Scar, both of them died as well. I know Invincible's, I know Gohan spared Invincible. I know Milo spared Nagito. Which is a very funny sentence to say out of context. I just kind of always forget that I made that. Like, yeah, that's something I made. I was very much like, oh, and I completely forgot about this art. How could I forget? How could I forget about this art? It's so good. So this is something I'm trying to do with every Versus Universe episode now, is I'm trying to commission artists to do stuff for me. So this one was done by Deckhead, DK-KO on Twitter, I believe is his handle. I mainly talked with him on Discord, so I don't really know. This is just insanely cool. I'm so glad this came out the way it did. It's so good. It's so good. The only
this performance, my prince.
I told you not to call me.
And then having a Minoth reference, Minoth and Adam, someone screaming into my ear. But having Minoth and Adam reference, like Adam not calling him his prince, you know, like that's just a character beat I always liked. That's another thing I always liked. It was just like Adam and Minoth have like such a great bromance going on, and I just wanted to like capture that a little bit. They're such good partners. They work off each other so well, and like having the element of Luxu in the room also helps because it gives them like a combined enemy. And it's not like Luxu doesn't steal the show in his own way. Like obviously, like here's one of the longest pieces of dialogue ever written for a single character because Kingdom Hearts, you know. Like Jesus, there's so much going on in this monologue. And then having him realize it. Having him grab the Keyblade to this part in the track too, which, oof. Oh man, this is my favorite part of the track. Just doing that, that 13th dilemma thing, that another side, another story thing. That was something I wanted in the track from the get-go, and like having that in there is so fucking cool. And another thing I wanted to do too in the track was, there were a couple things I wanted to do in the track. I knew for certain I wanted Torna fight theme, which is the very jazzy theme you hear when you fight just basic enemies in Torna the Golden Country. And I knew I wanted the Uriah theme, the Uriah Day theme, in there somewhere. Which created a little bit of a hassle because Uriah Days in 3/4 are like in a 3 time, and the song I was making was in a 4/4 time, so it was a little bit hard transposing that rhythm. But like, it's not like 3/4 to 4/4 has never been done before, and there are plenty of examples of arrangements going from 3 to 4. Literally working on one right now for a client.
Looks like I made you slip. Sorry about that, but I really need to
Yeah.
get out.
Anyway, just that was another thing on my list to represent for Luxu was Oopsie Daisy. And having Minoth, I really wanted also that interaction of, I've got a role to play. You got a role to play? I'm a damn playwright, you asshole.
So we will do this.
Yeah. I really wanted that interaction in there, because that's just a fun thing.
Not the first to say it, not the last, it seems.
And then Minoth saying, "My friends are my power." Of course you have to. Of course.
Try the lore-inspired technique, Adam.
More than anything, Minoth. Let's go.
Also, shout out to my friend Rox for narrating, because I selfishly wanted to play another character, even though I really didn't have to. Like, I think in my first version of this in my head, there was no Adam at all. And I think realizing, like, pretty early on, like, to make this work, I kind of really want Adam to be in the fight. And having him there really helps accentuate Minoth's character as well. And having Luxu die by saying "clever little sneak," that's exactly what I wanted. Of course. I will say that one thing that's kind of irritating about editing, you probably don't realize it, is that so much of it is not even video editing. Because the video editing for the fights, as you can probably tell, is pretty easy. But having to do the audio editing for these fights is a nightmare, because you're dealing with 4 different people in this case. All 4 of them have different microphones. All 4 of them have different spaces in which they record. So that's 4 different like compression settings, reverb settings, just everything. That's 4 different everythings for each of these people. Luckily, one of them's me, so I can just cut that number down to 3. But still, that's something you always have to consider when editing audio, is like each person's individual settings. And since we're doing this remotely, there's no like audio booth for us to go to, because we also all live in like vastly different places. Like, one of the voice actors for this literally lives on the other side of the Pacific Ocean to me. And the other, I don't actually know where he lives. It's not really important, I just don't know.
Darkness, light. What I think the world needs.
Now that's a line I kind of debated on keeping in, because there is a pervasive theory in KH fandom that Luxu is we know Luxu is an ancient Master of Masters, and there's a theory that Master of Masters is literally light, like the incarnation of light, because the incarnation of darkness is a thing in Kingdom Hearts, also in the mobile game. So kind of having him say light darkness, it's also binary, might be a little out of character soon, but I think it fits the character of Sigmar pretty well, and so I wanted to represent that side of him, and then having him reference Master Masters right after, I think kind of like veers us back into that territory of like, yeah, we're talking about Luxu. We're not talking about Sigbar. Sigbar can show up and be there, but it's always going to be like Luxu in control.
That's okay. Now allow me to answer some questions, though there probably aren't too many aspects of the fight to talk about in depth that weren't presented with reasoning in the fight. The biggest thing, at least to me, was allowing Luxu to use the Gazing Eye Keyblade. Technically, in the point in time the fight supposedly takes place.
And yeah, true to Kingdom Hearts fashion, I try to keep my fights to the point where in each character's ending, it can fit into their canon in a certain place and time. So for Luxu, I think the time and place would be, like, I guess probably like right before KH3.
I feel like it's really the point of having a Xenoblade Chronicles 2 character in your versus show, with exceptions, of course. But I don't think Minoth is one of them. His time with Adam was so important.
I show malice when I talk about exceptions to the rule. Foreshadowing? Probably not for another season, but like, that will be it. When I do my Mallows matchup that you all probably know, if I do my Mallows matchup.
I might as well do it. No, in terms of Arsenal, they were both pretty evenly matched. Minoth actually had more.
God, I had something to say. Oh, right. I was talking about, like, God, what was I talking about? What the fuck was I talking about? I don't remember now.
Including those of the light
I was watching the fucking episode. I'm like, yeah, this is good. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, I was talking about how the fights fit into canon. And the same could be said for Minoth and his ending. Because just so much weird shit happens in Xenoblade, they probably just not walk it off. So that's just something I try to do in each episode. Is I try to fit it into canon for each character. And of course, the next episode that I've been talking about a lot is Darth Vader versus Obito Uchiha. This one's a lot of fun. I have two great VAs on the job. I got some cameos from friends as stormtroopers. It's gonna be another story-focused fight, so those are always a lot of fun. But yeah, I guess just let me know if you want to do another commentary like this again. I think I talked about everything I really wanted to talk about. Yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.